All right, good morning, everyone. Alberto Sandoval, Senior Director of Community and Government Relations at UC Irvine. Welcome this morning to Wake Up Newport. We've got a great program with the mayor. I see a lot of influential people out there. We got through yesterday's snowstorm here in Orange County. So before we hear from the mayor, let's hear from our beloved Steve Rosansky.
Good morning, everyone. Big crowd today. Love to see that. I'm Steve Rosansky, President and CEO of the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to our March edition of Wake Up Newport. We've got a great program and a great speaker with the mayor here this morning. Who here went to see the mayor at the mayor's dinner? Okay, well, you had to pay $125 to go there. Today was free. Remember that. So we do have, as we would expect with a distinguished speaker like that, a few dignitaries in the audience that I'd like to introduce. So I'm going to do that real quickly. We have new city councilman, Joe Stapleton. You're still fairly new, right, Joe? Yeah. Still a little shiny. He hasn't gotten beat up by the residents too much yet. But you're welcome to beat him up after the meeting. Assistant City Manager Tara Finnegan's here this morning. Tara. A newly minted Planning Commissioner, John Langford. John, where are you? Right there. Also chair of the Friends of the Newport Beach Animal Shelter. Yeah, like when is the ribbon cutting for that? April likely. So April-ish?
All the snow has not been helpful.
April-ish, okay, yeah. It's not snowing at the shelter. Come on, don't, smoke screen us. Paul Watkins, chair of the Board of Library Trustees. Paul's I don't know if he's happy or not, but he finally got the bids on the new library lecture hall that they're going to be building here adjacent to the bamboo court. So maybe 2-3 years we'll be having our meetings over in that room, right, Paul? Okay. Harbor Commissioner Don Jan's with us, Secretary of the Harbor Commission, also a Chamber Commodore. We have 2 Civil Service Board members, Brian Moore and Howard Herzog, with us. Raise your hand. Wave. Guest from an organization that hasn't been here a lot, but I hope he'll be here more, John Wadsworth. He's the new chair of the combined Newport and Huntington Beach Surf Rider, right? Newly combined. Okay. And let me see who else. As Alberto pointed out, the chair of the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, Chris Delphs. Oh, and the city manager slid in. Wow, they must be really doing something important. Grace Leung, wave, Grace. And last but not least, the president of the Newport Beach Association of Realtors, Kim Foreman, is here somewhere. Kim, wave. Thank you. So that's it. I don't think we have a sponsor for the breakfast this morning, so no one to introduce. Anybody from Wells Fargo Bank here? They're actually our series sponsor. No? Okay. Well, I'm going to turn it back to Alberto, and we'll have a few closing remarks at the end. Thank you for coming.
So we have a great speaker this morning in our very own mayor, who was just installed in December. So he was elected to the Newport Beach City Council in November 2020. He's a Newport Beach native and has deep and impassioned love for the city. As a second-generation Newporter, he learned hard work and dedication from his parents, who owned a photography studio in Corona Del Mar. He left Newport Beach after high school to travel the country. A chef-turned-restaurateur, his ventures and dealings gave him an opportunity to work with many diverse people in municipalities, learning the intricacies of government relations as he worked to open restaurants in vastly different markets. After being away for many years, he returned home to Newport Beach, where he met his wife, Marin. The two continued to open restaurants, this time focusing on the towns and cities of Orange County. He and his wife give back to the community through many philanthropic organizations and causes. In recent years, they have focused on youth sports in Newport Beach, and in particular, aquatic activities in the ocean and harbor. Their work includes helping provide opportunities for children who do not otherwise have the means to participate in ocean and harbor activities. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our mayor, Noah Blom.
Well, it's a pleasure to be up here. It's great to see so many actually friendly faces in this meeting. Just kidding. They're always friendly. And a beautiful crowd out there. You know, I came up here prepared to give a couple of recipes and really work the cooking angle, and then I realized as they were introducing me that this one was about politics, so I'm going to just switch gears slightly on this beautiful spring morning we have here in Newport. I got to bring out a full coat, which I think makes me look more professional up here too. You're welcome. I imagine a lot of you wanted to come here to hear about the state of the city. And there were some articles about my State of the City address that it's going pretty good. And that is the truth. We're going to dive into it a little bit more with this group because you guys didn't pay. You clearly actually want to know something. You're not just here for the food and the beverages and the beautiful vea. So let's get through it. The truth about Newport Beach is that there is no place like this in the entire world. And that is true on so many different levels. And as my intro led to, I was privileged to be born and raised here. Interesting thing about being born and raised anywhere, you kind of come to despise the place because you think there's so much that's better out there. And so I went searching long and hard for what was better. And I realized, wow, that was an empty search. All across this world, in the most beautiful and storied places, there's something that's missing that we have. And that's what's so amazing about this place, is that we are a jewel on the Pacific that doesn't exist anywhere else. I tell the story often when I was coming over, going into Monaco, and I thought it would be the most amazing place in the world. And you come over the hill, you're wondering where this gorgeous city is. There's a little town there, and that's all it is. You're looking for this big harbor with all this amazingness, and all you're thinking about is going down Marguerite and looking at our own. And you think this is the greatest place in the world. And like most great things, they happen with a lot of effort. And I think that's the important thing to remember about Newport. And the effort's not just in the amazing city staff we have. It's not in the people that we elect. It's in the residents that love their city. And that really creates the difference. And so we're going to walk through a couple of the issues we have in Newport. Because I like to say, we don't have problems here, we have issues. And that's okay. We're supposed to have issues. Those are easier to solve. They're irritations, really, that we want to work on. And we're really good at working on them. And I think a lot of times what we see and what we feel isn't being done enough, we have to realize how much work goes into maintaining where we are and keeping up with what's going on. And we lose sight sometimes of the rest of the world that isn't doing as well as we are, that's failing in certain elements. And we're trying to take pieces from all of that. And so first thing I want to talk about is the budget and finance of the city and how wonderful we are. You know, Grace is doing an amazing job, and I think since she came on as city manager, our focus has really been driven by finance, which is one of the most important things because we can do a lot more with great finance. We've had wonderful finance departments, but really under her lead, we've been able to really focus on what is important to this city. And a lot of that is, I've used this term a couple of times if you've made it to a few of my other speeches, but reimagining. We're not here to redevelop. We're not here to change Newport. A lot of it is impossible to change. Our villages and our geography make us who we are. But there are areas that need love, and they need to be reimagined. And what's that mean? It means we're not going to fight growth in all possible ways. That's impossible. Then we're fighting against anything. You know, we'll lose our downtowns. Our main streets will dry up. We won't be able to shop here and love it in the same way. And that's it. Thank you, everyone. I hit the buzzer, and I think my 3 minutes is up. Thank you. I needed that one, actually. And I think that is the idea of reimagining. It's not about more rules and more regulation that stifles cities, and you see it in some of our neighbors. You see it when main streets turn into all curio shops. You see it in some of ours when they start turning into lotion shops and realtors. Not that I mind having a lot of realty houses all through Corona del Mar. But it's because those are what are renting the spaces. And so it takes us, not the city, not more regulation, it takes us to reinvest in our own city, to take the plunge, to put the money in, to put the dream in, the new spot, to work through the process. And I think that that is what reimagining means. It's not about the city taking it over. It's about us as individuals and stewards of this community doing that. And we've seen it. We've seen what happens when people put a lot more money into something. You know, we have Eagle Ford that has done an amazing job. I think we all remember the old Newport Beach Country Club. We really appreciate the new one. Some of us might have gone to the Marriott once or twice in our lifetime that used to be in Fashion Island, but I'm sure we've all been to Vegas since they've reimagined it, and at huge cost, with an investment that will take a lot of time and energy. But isn't that the goal? If we're going to invest in something, invest in ourselves. And I think that that has been the focus, and that's why we're doing so well in this city, is because we have focused on Newport. And we're doing that both financially and with great stewardship of it. Now we're going to go into some of the irritations, right? We look around and we see problems, and we like to be vocal about them, and we don't like them. And that's great. That means we're concerned about the city. We look at homelessness, and we say, oh, we have this major issue, whether it's the bus depot, the pier, or some other areas. And how do we deal with it? Well, the truth is, and after being in DC and talking to so many mayors of so many cities, we do a really, really, really good job with it. And it's never where we want it to be because we don't want it. You know, we would love to assume that all these people have a place to go. They're not going to be on our streets. They're not taking over areas. They're not creating the problem that we see, whether it's in petty crime or just kind of a general appetite that we do not possess for such a thing. And it's because we throw everything we possibly can at it, and we're trying to notch off every piece, which is why it stays the way it is. So when you see it and you're irritated, realize it's staying that way. It's not growing because of how much we're trying to do to combat it. And I say this at every speech. If there's solutions that we haven't tried, tell us. We will try them. If you have an idea that we just missed out on, please let me know. I know sometimes I throw ideas out there, and Grace looks at me and says, please don't throw that idea out anymore. That's a horrible, horrible idea. And I think that that's part of it, is that in reimagining what we are, whether it's development, whether it's our homeless crisis, whether it's some of the other issues we have to look at them from different perspectives. And that's what is great about Newport. We're always dealing with these little pieces, and we always need things. And it's an interesting climate right now, because as we look out at the world and we go out for things from the state or federal government, I know this is crazy, but Newport is not that loved in those circles. They look at us as we're trying to be elitist or buy our way through. Really, we're trying to reinvest in our own city. We're trying to make sure we have the greatest city in the world. And in that climate, it takes sometimes a different idea of how we're going to negotiate. And I think that's been my favorite part since I've been up here, is that by not having any desire to be in politics, and I will keep saying this, I promise, at any point if you want me to go, we don't have to go through the vote, just tell me and I'll leave. It'll be really great for everybody. Enjoy my life. No, I'm just kidding. It's been really, really fun. And I love the letters. They're great. I'm just kidding. I haven't got any of those. I don't open them. But I think that's what we need. And that's the idea, is that we are supposed to be citizen advocates. That's the whole reason that we're in politics, is that we love something, and we're here because we love that thing. We're not here as a career path. We're not here to run the city. It's actually not our job. And I've said this before. I said this in my, State of the City roast, is what I think Steve called it, was that we are here to kind of lead the band. We're not the drummers. We're not the musicians. We're just here to kind of give direction to what that band is. The city staff, the people who have vested their entire careers into this city, it's our job to help them get in a direction that makes it work, make them not feel like they're being pulled in all directions. And that's really the idea of what citizen advocacy is about. It's not that you come in and you start commanding the world. I always say we're a board of directors, but the CEO has to run the company. And in that, it's our job to give some incentive, to give some ideas, to give some push for that, and embrace what we have the ability to do. And so, for my term up here as mayor, I get to be the lead singer for a little bit. It's fun. It's a great time for my vision to come forth into what Newport is. And I'm going to touch on some of those projects that are going to be important to me, that you'll start seeing pieces come through to the public for their input. But there are big projects, and there are big infrastructure pushes. And when I talked about the homeless piece, I want to go back to that because in reimagining it, that's the goal. How do we not look at how do we sweep them away? How do we turn it into something that's more pleasurable there? How do we change what that spot is? And the pier was a big focus of mine because as I went down there, I thought, how do we have this jewel of Newport, this amazing spot that seems kind of run down and dingy? It seems like we're not doing the job we need to do there. And so when I had first come on to the city, I had asked them, okay, how do we make it easier to get permits through? And how do we do this? And they go, no, you can't do that. That's borderline illegal what you're asking. And I'm like, wow, I got to learn a little more about this process, don't I? But you can do big things. And I think that really kind of solidified what this job is. This job is to look farther in the future. And it's not about what I accomplish. It's about what I get to pass the baton to the next person to accomplish. It's about how can we work with a bunch of groups to kind of reimagine something everyone's excited about. Get them invested in the city in their own way. And so when I looked down at the pier, that's what I saw. I saw how can we rebuild something? I'm not talking about making a Santa Monica pier and throwing a Ferris wheel at the end, unless, do we want one? Okay, no, it seems no. I'm just kidding. It's that we have a history and a culture here. And how do we refine that history and culture and make it better? It's not about changing, it's about reimagining. And so those are some of my big initiatives and the things I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking to push the city to build and buy the areas that need to be rehabbed and fixed. And it's not that they're broken, it's just that they need love. We're opening a restaurant on Marin Avenue, and it's been a really easy 3-year process to entitle it. Super simple, almost free even. So I thought that was nice too. And then we're going to be building a new building that will be one of the smallest ever constructed on the island, which is a really great rate. I'm sure it'll have a nice return for my yet-to-be-born daughter. But I think that's the point, is that you love this place, so you reinvest in it. And it's not about me. It's about my son, my daughter. It's about the family that moves forward. Just like this isn't about my time up here being mayor. It's about the next people. And the people beyond that, and the ones that want to step up and do this, because it's nice if there's a baton to grab and to keep running with. And that's what I hope everyone here that concerned about the city, do it. It's not the pay, and it's not the notoriety. And believe me, I actually don't want to be relevant. I'd be really happy sitting on my patio sipping rosé most days. But I think sometimes there's a community service you need to do. And, when you're this eloquent, I guess this is the only option, because picking up trash on the side of the freeway just didn't seem quite the same. So, I really appreciate everybody in this city. I appreciate our different views and perspectives. I appreciate our passion. And I love what we get to do. I think it's exciting. And, I'll always be me. And those of you that have known me for a long time know that this is pretty much the only me I am. And so if there's ever things you want or need, stop by. Give me a call. I almost always answer my phone. I very rarely return emails. So, it's a fickle friend. Stop by, have a glass of wine. For sure, we can get to the bottom of something. It won't be the city business, though. But, I just want to encourage everybody out there, no matter what your perspective, do some community service. And by that, I mean politics. Jump in here, especially if you don't want to do it, because those are the people we need. We need the ones that want nothing to do with the notoriety, the clubs, and the pushes of what this sometimes is. And we need people that just like where they live and want to keep it better. So, thank you very much. This has been a pleasure. Was that better? Steve, the right amount of time? Good. Sure.
I think we have some time for some questions.
Dennis, yes.
Great to see you this morning, Dennis Brest, Balboa Island. So I wondered, since we're being recorded here, that you might be able to give an update on the direction as chair of the Newport Beach Aviation Committee. In that now we're really focused in on doing, I just wanted to make that public statement.
Wonderful. I thought it started with a question, ended with a statement. That was great, Dennis. I really appreciate that. Very similar to at our aviation committee meetings. Yeah, I think that you're right, and I'll speak quickly on to the aviation committee, probably not as long as you did. But I think a lot of times what happens, especially in our committees, is that they get very large and they have a lot of input, and that's great as long as the focus is narrow and we can accomplish goals. And I think that in all things, I would say in business, I have a priority list. I typically make it to the top 3, and anything beneath that just gets pushed aside until it makes its way up. And so I think that's important sometimes in the bureaucracy and the government is to focus, because you have so much input coming from everywhere, we need our top 3. And that's really what we've moved forward to, is that we understand we have an ability to go to the county more for some of these things, and that's important. We need to push things back onto the county and spend less time in the city with that piece, and then we need to negotiate, and those are some of my favorite things to do. So thank you, Dennis. If you have any questions about the airport, Dennis will be here.
I'm Liz Martin, and I'm an avid rollerblader, and so that seems to be
Yes. So the peninsula, especially down by Newport and Balboa Piers, I think a couple of things, right? The city needs to stay sanitary and fresh, which is why I think we've upped a lot of the washing and cleaning. The homeless is a multi-pronged problem, so it's not always just about people needing a place to stay. There's a lot of mental illness and drug addiction, and I think we've taken approaches on all of that. And I would say at any time, we have a wonderful and amazing police advocate in this, and then someone in the city as well that really focus on this. Plus, Tara spends no more than 80 to 90 hours a day on it. I'm just kidding, it's only my lawyer that bills that way. But we attack all of those facets. We have a group that works strictly on the mental health and drug addiction and kind of the louder, more screaming version of that. We know pretty much every single person at any point and have made contact with them. We're trying to get them in all sorts of places. Sometimes they're not willing to go. This is California, so you can't do some of the things that we thought we would be able to. And so I'd say part of it is about diligence in the homeless piece right now, and finding a myriad of solutions that kind of get us to the best point we can be. So, and I like that you started with that you're a rollerblader. I haven't heard that since the 90s, but that's really great. Please.
Find out what your stance is, and we want to get an appointment with you on the side.
Absolutely. And actually, Councilmember Stapleton had just put an item through, really pushing hard to support all sorts of elements about pushing against fentanyl in all ways, an educational program. We just put through a legislative platform that focuses specifically on pieces of that with our lobbyists. And I say we're in a good financial state, so we do spend a lot of time lobbying both the county, the state, and the federal government on all of these pieces. So we are very, very focused on it. We have a zero tolerance in this city. We try to prosecute as much as we can. We lobby the county to do the same, especially with the DA. He's taken a great stance as well. And so we're very aware, and we do believe there's an education portion as well to get out to our children so that they understand. But yeah,
It is affecting the children, and it's affecting children in high economic brackets.
of course. Yeah, absolutely.
project to make us a green city.
Wonderful. Well, I'll touch on the first part in the beginning. The beach erosion and the sand issue, and it's something that has been a huge portion of my focus. When I originally went out to DC, it was to talk to some of our federal lobbyists to start those programs. We're going back again in April to really kind of direct our representatives in Congress to help us focus on that. It requires a lot of moving pieces, but needless to say, if we could today, we would go pull more sand and put them on the beaches and get it out to where it needs to be so that we can get back to levels we used to be. There is a seasonal push to this as well, but there are some programs that the Army Corps has done for a long time where they replenish sand up in Sunset and it washes its way down slowly. Problem is that they're not always working like clockwork up there in the federal government. And so sometimes they need little pushes from us. So we are it is first and foremost on a huge amount of our radar, making sure that we maintain the integrity of our beaches. You know, it's kind of in our name, so we're going to focus on it. And then the other part, I encourage anybody that, you know, and it really is, it's state and federal money that goes towards that electrical piece. And then it is a huge part of upgrading an infrastructure that can handle it. And so that, again, it's not necessarily us, but we always advocate for anything that's cleaner and more beautiful for the city. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for that. On the subject of environment, so John Martin, Certified Foundation, good to see you.
Always good to see you, John.
I think just free, and we're always here to help too.
Wonderful. I appreciate that, John. I think that right now we're going through a very large process of our general plan amendment. And in our steering committee, Nancy Gardner, who's also former mayor and very, very focused on the environment, she's heading up a piece where really is drawing a focus to kind of our environmental piece and what the policy is of the city. You know, and I said in the beginning, our goal is to kind of steward us through. And so it's about focusing and handing off that baton to exactly what you're saying right now, is that we need policy to start, and then we can start working on how we implement it. And we're in a different era now. I think, you know, from our old general plan to our new one is really going to be a cataclysmic difference in how we address the environment and a lot of those pieces. So, and I think one thing we'll always focus on is the surfing part of Surfrider, right? It's big for us, huh? We're never going to get rid of it. We want to make sure the water's clean, the beaches are beautiful, and everything we can do out until they start taking the water away from us, right? Give us a little more. Hey, give us the whole harbor, and we'll clean the whole thing up, I promise. So we're very focused on everything has to do. I mean, it's a $1 billion revenue source, our oceans and our harbor in Newport Beach. So that brings a huge amount of money in tourism into what we do, and it helps fuel the engine that we are. And so I promise we'll never lose focus of that. Thanks. Rosalensky. You guys can all enjoy it when it's done being built in 2 years. Yeah, it's going to be a great little spot. We are tearing a building down on Balboa Island. It is a little ramshackly now. No building has been torn down completely on Marin since 1960, and no smaller building has been built since 1950. So we're taking it down to the dirt, and then we're building a small cottage in the back with a large garden in the front and a little deck piece. And so it'll feel like kind of an old original Balboa Island cottage with a little outdoor garden dining area. So it'll be fun. We're making it through. You know, there's some new building standards out there right now, and so we're building some cool things. But it'll take time and energy, and I think that's part of the idea. It'll be a lot similar to our restaurant on 30th Street. You know, it's built for us. You sit on the patio, you enjoy your life. We live in a great place. Does really well in the rain. So just if you're going to stop by, bring an umbrella and a parka. Yeah, we're not there yet. It's ARC. They're all ARC at this point. We were calling that one ARC Balboa Island. I might find something clever, but I doubt it. Anything else from anyone? Beautiful. It's been my pleasure to be up here. And if you ever have any other questions, feel free, shoot out a message, and I'm always available. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Those were some tough questions. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. Before we close, though, Steve's got some comments.
The one thing Noah didn't tell us is that his wife's expecting any moment now, right, Noah? 12 days, any moment. So that was a great program, a lot of great questions in the audience. Thank you all for coming. Just want to tell you about a few of the things that we have coming up so you can join us again. If you're a young professional, our Navigate Young Professional group is going to have a pub crawl. We're going to be visiting 3 of our chamber members on the peninsula. We're going to start at Avila's El Ranchito. Actually, Tyler's here. He's the head of our Navigate Young Professionals group. So if you're interested, see him after the meeting. We're going to start at Avila's. I think we're going to Malarkey's and finishing up at Helmsman Ale House, right? There's a whole trivia contest thing going on and some prizes and things. So please come out. That's March 8th, Wednesday from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Our next business luncheon is going to be at Bistango, which is a great restaurant. They're a chamber member of ours, on Wednesday, March 15th from 11:30 to 1:30. And all these things you can find on our website, so you don't have to write anything down. Just go to newportbeach.com. Our next mixer, Sunset Mixer, is going to be at Red O, and that's going to be on March 23rd. March 23rd at Red O from 5:30 to 7:30. If you're a member, you get in free. If you're not a member, it's $35. But if you call us and say you're thinking about being a member, we'll put you on the guest list, and it'll be free, just like this meeting. Our next Wake Up Newport meeting will be April 6th, and we're going to be having Daniele Strupa. He's the president of Chapman University. He's spoken here before. Great speaker, great guy. If you have kids that are thinking of going to college or whatever, or in college, I strongly recommend you come and hear what his thoughts on education and what's happening at Chapman University, which is one of the jewels of Orange County. If you're a woman in business, and even if you're not, our Women in Business group, Inspire, is going to be meeting at Capitol Grill on April 12th. Our speaker is Deborah Peters. She's a business coach, consultant, professional speaker, and a visionary. So if you have a vision or you need a vision, she's going to tell you how to do that. And last but not least, I'm just going to kind of brag a little, is our police appreciation breakfast is on March 17th. It's going to be at Vea Hotel. I think, Corey, are you still here? Well, Corey helped redo the hotel. He was here. He's part of Eagle 4. Anyway, it's sold out. So we got over 500 people coming. It's going to be a great event. If you're still interested, you can't sign up online, but we are doing a wait list. So please call our office. And that's about it. Any questions about anything going on, chamber-wise? All right. If you're not a member of the Chamber of Commerce, you should be. We'll see you next month. Take care.